The human prisoner was led through tall crystal doors, his wrists bound by glowing cuffs. His boots echoed on the black stone floor as guards pushed him forward. The hall was huge, with walls that shimmered like liquid light. At the end of the chamber sat the most feared ruler in this part of the galaxy, Queen Seraphis of the Clear Dominion. Her throne was carved from a single block of violet crystal. She sat tall, wearing a crown that seemed alive, glowing faintly, with energy. Her golden eyes studied the human with cold interest. Around her stood armored guards, silent and ready to strike at the slightest command. The human's name was Ethan Hale, an engineer from Earth. He was no soldier, no warrior. He had been repairing a ship on the edge of clear space when raiders captured him. Now, by some cruel twist, he was dragged before an alien queen who ruled dozens of star systems. The hall was silent as the guards forced him to kneel. Ethan looked up, trying to hide his fear. The queen's voice cut through the air like a blade. "Human," she said, her tone calm but sharp. "Your kind wanders too close to my borders. Some say you are dangerous, others say you are weak. Tell me, why should I allow you to live?" Ethan's throat was dry. His mind raced for something, anything that could keep him alive. He was not trained for diplomacy. He was not armed. What could a lone engineer say to stop a queen known for ordering executions with a flick of her hand? His heart pounded. He remembered how humans often used humor when trapped, how jokes, sometimes, broke tension. Maybe, just maybe, it could save him. So with a half smile, he blurted out the first ridiculous thing that came to mind. "Marry me," he said. "Then I'll tell you everything." The hall froze. The guards stiffened. Several reached for their weapons, their blades humming with energy. No one had ever spoken to the queen in such a way. It was madness. But instead of anger, Queen Seraphis raised one hand. The guards halted instantly. Her golden eyes narrowed, not with rage, but with something else, curiosity. "Leave us," she ordered. The guards hesitated. One began to protest, but her voice thundered again, louder. "I said leave us." Reluctantly, the guards obeyed, retreating from the hall until the massive doors closed with a heavy thud. The two of them were alone now, the alien queen and the human prisoner. Ethan felt sweat on his forehead. His mouth went dry. He realized what he had just said might be his last words. But the queen did not call for his execution. Instead, she leaned forward on her throne, studying him like a rare creature. "You dare joke about such a thing," she said softly. "Do you not fear me?" Ethan swallowed hard. "Of course I fear you. Everyone fears you, but if I only show fear, I'll die anyway. So I thought, why not try something different?" Her lips curved, not quite a smile, but close. "Different," she repeated as if testing the word. "No one dares to speak to me without trembling. And yet you make light of death." Ethan shrugged, though his shoulders were tense. "Humans joke when we're scared. It's how we survive. Maybe it's stupid, but sometimes laughter keeps us alive longer than fear does." The queen's golden eyes glowed faintly in the dim light. She leaned back, her crown casting shifting patterns on the wall. "Interesting, you are either very brave or very foolish." "Maybe both," Ethan admitted. For a long time she said nothing. The silence stretched. Ethan's heartbeat thundered in his ears. He wondered if she was just toying with him before calling the guards back in. Finally, she asked, "Why would you offer marriage, human? Do you think yourself worthy of a queen?" Ethan almost laughed, but caught himself. "I don't think I'm worthy of much. I was just trying not to die. It was a bad joke." "Yet you said it," she replied calmly. "Words have weight. Even jokes reveal truth." Ethan shook his head. "Where I come from, jokes sometimes mean nothing. They're just words we throw into the air to make the moment lighter. And yet," she said slowly, "you caught my attention. That is not nothing." Her words unsettled him. He had expected anger, not interest. He shifted on his knees, unsure of what game she was playing. "You are curious about humans?" Ethan asked carefully. The queen tilted her head, her long dark hair brushing against the crystal of her throne. "Your kind appeared in the galaxy only recently. You are small compared to my empire, yet stories spread quickly. Humans fight storms on their homeworld, walk death worlds with little fear, and now, one of you dares propose to me in jest." Her golden eyes locked on his. "Perhaps there is more to your kind than I was told." Ethan forced a nervous smile. "Or maybe we're just terrible at staying quiet." For the first time, a soft laugh escaped her lips. It was brief, but it echoed in the empty hall like music. Ethan blinked, stunned. Did the most feared queen in the galaxy just laugh? Seraphis rose from her throne and stepped closer, her long robe sweeping across the floor. She circled him slowly, like a predator studying prey. "Tell me more of your people," she said. "Tell me why they laugh at the edge of death." Ethan took a slow breath. He realized something had changed. His reckless joke had not killed him. It had opened a door. The queen was no longer looking at him as a prisoner, but as something else, something unexpected. And in that moment, Ethan Hale understood one thing clearly. His life had been spared not because of strength or weapons, but because of a single human habit the galaxy did not understand. Humor. What began as a joke had now become the start of something far greater. The next morning, Ethan expected to be dragged away to some cell, or perhaps executed in silence. Instead, 2 guards came for him and led him back to the great crystal hall. The doors opened, and there she was again, Queen Seraphis, seated upon her glowing throne, waiting. This time, there were no advisors around her, no whispering ministers, no scribes scratching notes on glowing tablets. Only the queen and the guards who brought him. She lifted her hand, and once again the guards bowed and left the chamber, leaving Ethan alone with her. "Human," she said in her calm, commanding voice. "Sit." Ethan blinked in surprise. A small platform rose from the floor, forming a seat across from her throne. He hesitated, but then moved carefully and sat down. "You spared me yesterday," he said slowly. "I thought it was only because of my stupid joke." The queen tilted her head. Her golden eyes shone with a strange light. "It was not only the joke, it was the way you spoke. You were unafraid to be foolish in front of me. That is unusual." Ethan gave a small laugh. "Humans are very good at being foolish. Sometimes we don't even try." Her lips curved, just slightly. "I wish to understand this. Your kind is new to the stars, yet already the galaxy speaks of you. Some call you reckless. Others call you stubborn. You survive in places where other species would perish. Why?" Ethan leaned back a little. He felt the weight of her question. Maybe because we always find a reason to keep going. Sometimes it's family, sometimes it's hope, and sometimes it's because we don't know how to quit. Humor is part of that. If we can laugh, even when we're scared, then we know we're still alive. The queen studied him closely. "You make light of fear." "Yeah," Ethan said with a half smile. "Fear can crush you if you let it. So we laugh at it. That's how humans fight things bigger than us." For a moment, silence filled the hall. Then softly, the queen said, "Strange. In my empire, fear is power. My people obey me because they fear me. My enemies bow because they fear me. But you defy fear, and still you live." Ethan shrugged. "Maybe that's why we're still around, even when the galaxy thinks we shouldn't be." She stood then, her robe sweeping behind her as she stepped closer. She moved with a grace that reminded Ethan of a predator, dangerous but controlled. She stopped only a few feet away and looked down at him. "Tell me of Earth," she said. "Tell me of your home." Ethan hesitated. "Earth, it's messy, loud, full of chaos. But it's beautiful too. Blue oceans, green forests, skies, full of color. We have storms that can destroy cities, mountains that touch the clouds, deserts that stretch forever. And through all that, people survive. They build, rebuild, and laugh through it all. The queen's expression softened, though her golden eyes still burned with curiosity. Your world sounds alive. My own is silent. Too much fear has drained joy from it. She turned, walking back toward her throne. Every day, my advisors tell me the same things. Obey tradition, keep order, rule with strength. Yet none of them dare speak a word I have not already heard. You are the first to make me hear something new. Ethan sat quietly for a moment. He could almost feel the weight of her loneliness behind her words. She was powerful, yes, but also surrounded by fear and silence. No one dared speak freely to her, until now. Maybe that's what humans do best, he said finally. We say things no one expects. Sometimes it's stupid. Sometimes it's brave. Sometimes it changes everything. The queen turned her head slightly. Like your joke. Ethan chuckled. Exactly, I didn't mean it seriously, but I'm glad it kept me alive. Her eyes locked on him again, sharp and thoughtful. Perhaps it was not only survival, perhaps it was fate. Ethan froze at her words. He wasn't sure if she was serious or playing with him. He decided to steer the conversation elsewhere. So, why keep me here? Why not send me back to Earth? Her expression hardened. You are not free to leave. Not yet. The council would see you as a threat. They whisper already, questioning why I spared you. Some will say you are manipulating me. Others will demand your... Ethan Hale was beginning to notice a strange pattern. Every morning the guards brought him before Queen Seraphis, and every morning she dismissed them to speak with him alone. At first he thought it was some cruel game, but as the days passed, he realized something else. She was curious about him. She wanted to hear more about Earth, about humans, and about why they laughed when others wept. The conversations grew longer. Sometimes she asked about simple things, music, stories, food. Other times she asked about human wars, how small armies managed to defeat stronger ones. Ethan tried to answer carefully, but he could see her interest growing. What he did not see at first, however, were the whispers. High above the throne chamber, hidden behind glowing crystal walls, nobles of the clear dominion watched. They whispered that their queen was distracted, that she gave too much attention to the human. Some believed he was using strange tricks to cloud her judgment. Others feared she had grown weak. In the shadows of the palace, knives were being sharpened. One evening, after another long talk with the queen, Ethan was escorted back through the winding corridors of the citadel. The halls were dark, lit only by blue lanterns humming with energy. The guards marched ahead, their armor clinking softly. Ethan's sharp eyes caught something unusual. A figure moved in the shadows above the walkway. The movement was too precise to be a servant. His instinct screamed danger. Wait, he shouted suddenly. The guards turned just as a blade of light shot from the darkness. It would have struck one of them in the chest if Ethan hadn't yelled. The assassin leapt from the shadows, twin daggers glowing. The guards fought quickly, their spears clashing with the attackers' blades. Ethan ducked low, his heart racing. He was no fighter, but he knew one thing. Someone wanted the queen dead. The assassin was fast, darting through the hall like a shadow. One guard fell, his armor split. The other struggled, but Ethan spotted something. The assassin's belt carried a strange device, a detonator. If triggered, the whole corridor would be destroyed. Ethan didn't think. He lunged forward, grabbing a fallen guard's spear. He swung wildly, not with skill but with desperation. The weapon hit the assassin's belt, knocking the detonator loose. It clattered across the floor, sliding out of reach. The surviving guard seized the chance and struck, cutting the assassin down. Breathing heavily, Ethan dropped the spear. His hands shook, but he was alive. More importantly, the queen was still alive, because he had acted. Later that night, Queen Seraphis summoned him again. This time her expression was sharper, colder. Yet behind the fire in her golden eyes there was something else, something close to relief. My spies tell me you saved one of my guards, she said, and that you stopped an assassin's device. Why would you risk yourself for me, human? Ethan rubbed his sore wrist. Because I didn't want to see you dead. I know I'm supposed to be your prisoner, but I couldn't just stand by. Goodbye. Queen studied him for a long time. Most would have run, yet you fought. I'm not a soldier, Ethan admitted, but sometimes humans fight, not because we're trained, but because it's the right thing to do. For the first time since he met her, the Queen's expression softened. She walked down from her throne and stood in front of him. You confuse me, Ethan Hale, she said. When others meet me, they bow, they tremble, they speak only what they think I wish to hear. But you, first you joke, then you argue, and now you risk your life for mine. Ethan gave a small smile. Maybe I'm just bad at being a prisoner. She almost laughed again, but instead she grew quiet. After a long pause, she asked softly, Tell me, did you mean those words you spoke on the first day? The joke of marriage? Ethan froze. His heart thudded in his chest. That? No, I mean, it was just, I didn't mean it seriously. Her eyes narrowed slightly, but not in anger. More like she was testing him. And if you had meant it? Ethan swallowed. He had no answer. How could he explain? He was a simple human engineer, and she was an alien queen who ruled worlds. The idea was ridiculous, and yet, the way she asked, it felt less like a threat and more like a real question. I don't know, he admitted finally. I never thought an alien queen would even think about it. Her golden eyes glowed faintly as she turned away. Perhaps you underestimate yourself. Or perhaps I see something your people hide even from themselves. The next day, the council gathered in secret chambers. The nobles hissed and shouted, demanding that the queen rid herself of the human. They claimed he was dangerous, that his presence threatened the stability of the Dominion. But the queen did not call for Ethan's execution. Instead, she continued to summon him, to speak with him in private. Her decision only deepened the whispers. Plans were made in dark halls. More assassins were prepared. The queen's enemies would not sit quietly while their ruler's heart was swayed by a strange human. And Ethan, unaware of how deep the plots ran, began to realize something important. His joke had not only spared his life, it had tied his fate to the queen's. He was no longer just a prisoner trying to survive. He was becoming part of a dangerous game, one that might change the destiny of an empire. The palace corridors buzzed with tension. Whispers followed Ethan everywhere he went. Servants hurried past him, casting nervous glances. Guards lowered their heads, uncertain whether to trust him or fear him. The Clear Dominion's council had begun plotting openly, and Ethan could feel it even before anyone spoke. Queen Seraphis summoned him to the throne chamber once again. This time the air was heavier, charged with a sense of inevitability. The guards bowed and left, leaving them alone. Ethan stepped forward carefully, unsure what awaited him. You have caused unrest among my council, the queen said, her golden eyes steady on him. They demand you be removed. They demand your death. Ethan blinked. Death? He felt his stomach twist. I didn't do anything wrong. I'm just talking to you. Exactly, she said. They see it as a threat that I choose freely, without fear, without manipulation. They cannot accept that one human has captured my attention. Ethan swallowed hard. He had survived raiders, assassins, and political intrigue. But now, he realized, he was standing at the edge of something far more dangerous, a rebellion inside the Queen's own court. I don't want to cause trouble, Ethan said carefully. If I leave, will they leave you alone? The Queen shook her head slowly. No. If you walk away, they will see weakness. They will strike, not just at you, but at me. I would rather face them with you at my side than without. Ethan's throat tightened. I didn't come here to lead armies or defend thrones. I'm just a mechanic. Her gaze did not waver. Perhaps your kind underestimates itself. Humans do not wait for fate to decide. They act. They survive. And sometimes, they change the course of history. Later, the council gathered in the Great Hall. Their robes were adorned with symbols of rank and their faces were sharp with anger. The words of rebellion flowed easily. "He has bewitched her," one noble hissed. "This human, this mechanic, dares to make a queen listen to him. He will destroy our traditions." "His people are weak," another said. "He cannot survive here. We must strike before his influence spreads further." The most senior of them, Chancellor Tyvar, leaned forward. "We have tried patience, we have tried warnings, but this human must be removed. The queen cannot be allowed to risk the dominion for one outsider." Meanwhile, Ethan walked through the palace gardens. He could feel the weight of every whisper, every hidden glance. Even the air seemed thicker than usual. The rebellion was no longer a rumor. It was real and it was growing. That night, Queen Seraphis summoned him to her private chamber. She moved through the moonlit corridors with the grace of a predator. Ethan followed, nervous but steady. "You, see now," she said softly once they were alone. "The danger is not outside my walls. It is inside. The council plots against me. They will not accept your presence, and yet I have chosen you." Ethan's chest tightened. "I don't know if I can help. I'm just one human." "You underestimate yourself," she said. "Your bravery, your quick thinking, your humor. It inspires loyalty. You saved a guard yesterday, you deflected an assassin. These things matter more than you know." Ethan took a deep breath. He wanted to argue, but the queen's eyes stopped him. There was no fear there, only focus. He realized he had a choice: run and hide, or step forward and risk everything. "I'll do what I can," he said finally, "but I'm not a soldier. I don't know how to fight an empire from the inside." The queen smiled faintly, a rare softness in her expression. "I do not ask you to be a soldier. I ask you to be human. That is enough." The rebellion began. In the early hours, guards loyal to the council moved quietly through the palace, cutting off communications and closing gates. Outside the citadel, a small army of rebels gathered, their banners black with defiance. The city shook as the first strikes hit the gates. Ethan stood beside the queen as she gave orders. Her voice was calm, precise, each word commanding loyalty from those who remained. Yet she glanced at him often, as if to remind herself, and him, that he was not just a prisoner. He was her ally. "Human," she said softly. "Your kind fights in strange ways. Teach my soldiers what you can. Show them courage. Show them hope." Ethan nodded, his heart pounding. "I'll do my best." He ran from group to group, showing simple tactics, how to set traps. The battle for the capital raged into the third day. Smoke and fire filled the skies as the rebels struck again and again, but Queen Seraphis's forces, inspired by Ethan's human tactics, held firm. The city's defenders dug clever traps, set up hidden ambushes, and moved in patterns no ordinary army could predict. Ethan ran from one post to another, helping soldiers, giving quick instructions, and telling short stories of Earth battles to boost morale. Every joke, every tale, every word of encouragement reminded the Queen's soldiers that courage was stronger than fear. Even in the chaos of war, laughter and hope became weapons just as sharp as swords and spears. The Queen watched him often, her golden eyes following his every move. He was so unlike anyone she had ever known. He laughed in the face of danger, moved with unexpected courage, and inspired others. She realized something she had not admitted before. She trusted him completely. One afternoon, the rebels launched their most dangerous assault yet. Their ships descended upon the city walls and infantry flooded the gates. The defenders were outnumbered 3-1. Panic began to ripple among the soldiers. Ethan ran to the Queen's side, holding a rolled map. "We can use the upper canals to flank them," he shouted. "We'll trap half their forces inside the city while the rest try to break the walls." "It will buy time," the Queen nodded. "Do it." Together they moved through the corridors and towers, coordinating soldiers and repositioning archers. Ethan shouted instructions, guided troops, and encouraged them to fight without fear. He reminded them of Earth's tales, of humans who faced impossible odds and survived. Slowly, hope returned to the defenders' hearts. By nightfall, the rebels were trapped inside the city. Their reinforcements had been cut off and panic spread like wildfire. Ethan's strategies had worked. The soldiers moved with precision while Ethan darted from point to point, giving quick advice and keeping morale high. Queen Seraphis stood on a high balcony, watching the battle unfold. She smiled faintly, a rare expression. The human beside, her prisoner, her advisor, her strange companion, had turned the tide of war. She felt something new stirring inside her. Admiration, respect, and something deeper. After the last rebel ship was destroyed, silence fell over the city. The fires burned low and the wounded were tended. The Queen's soldiers cheered quietly, exhausted but victorious. Ethan sank to his knees, panting and covered in soot, but he could not hide the smile on his face. The Queen approached him, her robes brushing the floor. She looked at him for a long moment, golden eyes reflecting both relief and curiosity. "You have done what few could," she said softly. "Not only did you save my city, but you inspired my people. You changed the hearts of warriors who had never known courage." Ethan wiped sweat from his brow. I only did what I could. I didn't know if it would work." Her lips curved faintly. "That is what humans do. You do not wait for certainty. You act, you trust in hope, and you survive." Ethan's chest tightened. He had never expected praise from a queen, much less from one like Seraphis. But before he could answer, she stepped closer, her expression serious. "Ethan Hale," she said, "yesterday you spoke words you thought were a joke. The first day you stood before me, you said, 'Marry me.'" Ethan froze. His heart skipped a beat. I didn't mean it seriously, it was just—" She cut him off with a raised hand. "I know it was a joke, but now I must ask you the same question. Will you marry me?" Ethan stared at her. His mind raced. The battle was over, but now he faced something far more terrifying. He, a human engineer, was being asked to become the consort of the most powerful ruler in the galaxy. "Me?" he whispered. "Marry you?" She nodded. "Yes. You have proven courage, wisdom, and loyalty. You inspire my people. You survived when many would fail. You are not just a human. I see someone worthy of standing beside me." Ethan swallowed. He looked around at the ruined city, at the soldiers who had fought bravely, at the Queen who had trusted him completely. Somehow he realized this was not a joke anymore, this was real. I don't know what to say," he admitted. "I'm just a mechanic from Earth. I don't belong in your world." "Perhaps," she said softly, "you belong exactly where you are." Ethan's lips curved into a small, nervous smile. "Well, if I'm going to do something like this, I suppose I should do it right. So, yes, I will marry you." The Queen's golden eyes softened, and she extended her hand to him. "Then it is done. You will stand with me, not as a prisoner, but as my consort. Together we will rebuild the Dominion and lead my people into a new age." Ethan took her hand carefully, feeling the weight of what he had just agreed to. He was no longer just a human in an alien empire. He was part of something larger, something that could change the course of history. That evening, the city celebrated cautiously. Fires still burned in some districts, but soldiers and citizens alike praised the human who had inspired hope, and the Queen, who had chosen courage over fear. In quiet corners, nobles whispered in shock. No ruler had ever openly chosen a human to share power, but outside the whispers, the galaxy itself seemed to shift. For the first time, stories would be told of a human who had faced alien empires, survived, and even captured the heart of a queen. And somewhere, deep in Ethan's mind, he realized that his joke, the words he had spoken without thinking, had changed the destiny of worlds. He looked at the Queen beside him, golden eyes glowing in the firelight, and laughed softly. Guess I owe you a better proposal next time, he said. The Queen tilted her head, amused. Perhaps. But you have already shown me the most important thing: courage, hope, and humanity. And in that moment, Ethan Hale understood the truth of his own species. Even the smallest, most ordinary human could leave a mark on the galaxy, if they dared to act with heart. The city of Scifi slowly recovered from the chaos of war. Streets once filled with smoke and rubble were now bustling with citizens repairing their homes and shops. Soldiers patrolled with calm confidence, no longer just following orders but inspired by the courage that Ethan had instilled in them. Queen Scifi sat upon her throne once more, but this time, there was a quiet satisfaction in her golden eyes. She looked at Ethan, standing beside her in modest human attire, and allowed herself a small, rare smile. "You have changed more than my army, Ethan Hale," she said softly. "You have changed the hearts of my people, and perhaps even mine." Ethan shifted uncomfortably. "I only did what any human would do. I didn't plan to, well, survive an alien war or inspire anyone. I just acted." Her gaze softened. "That is exactly why your kind is so remarkable. You act even when the odds are against you. You laugh when others would despair. You see hope when others see only fear. That is a power many of my species do not understand." Ethan smiled faintly. "I guess Earth teaches humans a few things. We survive because we refuse to give up. And sometimes we take risks others think are stupid." The Queen stood and walked toward him. "And sometimes," she said quietly, "those risks change the fate of empires." The court had gathered for the first time since the battle ended. Nobles, ministers, and advisors filled the chamber, their expressions a mixture of awe, fear, and shock. They had heard the rumors about the human who had inspired soldiers and protected the Queen, but seeing him beside her throne was something they could not easily accept. Chancellor Tyvar stepped forward, his robes rustling. "Your Majesty, the human is no longer a prisoner," Scifi interrupted, her voice calm but firm. "He is my consort." The hall erupted in murmurs and whispers. Some gasped. Some bowed quickly, fearful of angering the Queen. The human's presence, once a source of amusement or concern, was now official, recognized by the ruler herself. Tyvar's face was tight with anger. "Your Majesty, this is unprecedented. A human cannot what?" the Queen asked, her golden eyes flashing. "Stand beside me as a partner, a consort, and advisor? He has proven loyalty, bravery, and intelligence beyond measure. You speak as though tradition matters more than survival and wisdom." Ethan's heart pounded. He had never expected to hear a queen defend him in such a way. He wanted to speak, to protest, but words failed him. Instead, he simply bowed his head, letting Scifi handle the court. Over the following weeks, Ethan learned more about the workings of the Dominion. He was not just a consort in name, he was a partner in strategy, planning, and diplomacy. He advised the Queen on matters he understood: engineering, logistics, and human tactics, and even offered new ideas for trade, defense, and communication. The people of the Dominion began to notice the changes. Soldiers who had fought with him spoke of his courage. Citizens who heard tales of his humor and cleverness respected him. Even distant worlds in the Empire sent envoys to meet the human who had captured the Queen's trust. Stories spread quickly across the galaxy. One human had faced the clear Dominion, survived assassins, inspired warriors, and gained the respect of a queen. Other leaders whispered, uncertain whether this meant the humans were more dangerous than anyone realized. One evening, as the twin moons rose over the capital, Ethan and Scifi walked through the palace gardens. The city below was quiet, the aftermath of war fading into a sense of peace. "You have changed everything," Scifi said softly, brushing her fingers along the edge of a glowing flower. "Your people, my people, even the galaxy will never see humans the same way again."